So, what do we know about his association? Well, there's a group in Washington called the Main Street Partnership. Anybody heard of that group? Okay. President and CEO of that organization, since he left Congress, is our former Congressman Steve LaTourette. The purpose of that group is to be aligned with the governing wing of the Republican Party and centrist policymakers. Okay? That's from their website. And just that LaTourette has served in that capacity since January 2013. He said there that they look forward to working with our centrist Republican members in engaging fair-minded independents and Democrats who want to help do what is right for this country. So I think the only group that is excluded there are the kind of the Tea Party folks. So those are the ones he wants to work with, are the centrist Republicans. He also stated that he thought that John Boehner's election as Speaker of the House was good for the Republican Party and good for our country. I've not always shared that opinion. When LaTourette was on CNN's Starting Point, he said there's a one-word phrase we use in Ohio for that. And I'm not going to repeat the term. When asked whether he bought a Tea Party leader's line that that group is the nation's last best hope to restore America's founding principles. I strongly disagree with him on that, because it is folks like you who understand the founding principles of America. Now, he hopes to recruit moderate Republican congressional candidates. He wants to recruit moderate Republican congressional candidates, and he's skeptical that the Tea Party wing is through challenging Boehner and the House leadership. He's got one part of that right, doesn't he? Yeah. We are not done challenging that leadership. Back in November, he slammed the Tea Party and said the GOP needs to start acting like a national party. And I think he meant by that is that either we should go away or we should agree with him. And we're not going away, and we're not going to agree. And after he left office, one day after that, he slammed the GOP House members who didn't support John Boehner for Speaker. Those happen to be the more conservative members. Now, what is this group doing? It's putting money, total of $8 million, into helping moderate Republicans defeat Tea Party candidates in upcoming congressional primaries. So he's putting his money, well, somebody else's money, where his mouth is, and the specific purpose of helping moderate Republicans defeat Tea Party candidates. He said that for the first time there will be a group representing the governing wing of the Republican Party that will not only defend itself but also push back. Now, the other term that might be used to describe this group is the establishment Republicans. You may have heard that term. And I found this one to be somewhat interesting. The reason that Harry Reid and the Democrats control the U.S. Senate is thanks to the efforts of the Club for Growth, Freedom Works, and the Tea Party. And I don't think that's true. Matter of fact, there were several races where the Republican establishment decided that it would be better to lose the race than for a Tea Party conservative to win. And that was certainly true in Virginia, in the race for governor, where Ken Cuccinelli, a good conservative man, ran, and the National Republican Party donated very little money to his campaign, much less than what they had done in the previous campaign for governor. And there was also in that race, there was a libertarian candidate who ran. He wasn't all that libertarian, but he drew away conservative votes from Cuccinelli. Not sure how that all came about. But in July of 2012, LaTourette decried the refusal of conservatives to support bloated farm and highway spending bills. That's the problem with conservatives. They're just not into spending other people's money. Now, LaTourette also claims to speak for the centrist or moderate wing of the Republican Party, but he had a voting record in Congress. And, you know, when you can say most anything prior to being elected because you don't have a record. But after you've been elected and you have a record, you have to stand on that record. And his record pegs him as among the party's leftmost members. I remember 2 years ago when he was coming up for election, before he stepped down, that Heritage Action, he had a scorecard with them, and the scorecard ranges from 0 to 100%, 100% being the most conservative, 0% being the least conservative, and he was in the 25 to 27% range. And there weren't too many lower than him. Now this quote was particularly interesting. Along with Representative David Joyce, who is referred to here as LaTourette's hand-picked replacement for his former district. He had another candidate who was one of 6 that they've already endorsed for 2014. So all the way back in ancient history of 2012, when Representative LaTourette decided not to run, he made that announcement after the time period that there would be a primary to select his replacement. That replacement then was selected by however many GOP chairmen and secretaries from the various Republican county leaders. And I was there when they made the announcement, and they were all unanimous, and they all picked Dave Joyce, and it just seemed like there was maybe some connection between Dave Joyce and Steve LaTourette. Now, Dave Joyce and Steve LaTourette, from my understanding, are friends, since Dave Joyce was in LaTourette's wedding party when he got married the second time. And La Tourette had some more to say.